So cooperatives can be either non-stock or stock oriented, and that's part of your articles of incorporation. When you organize under state law, you decide what type of co-op do we want to be. Non-stock co-op, you have a membership certificate. It's a little more like that nonprofit association or a trade association you might be involved in. You're a member, and that's, you operate based on that membership. In a stock cooperative, we immediately think of the corporate form of doing business, the investor type business. But even in a stock cooperative, the stock can simply be an indicium of membership. I own a share of membership stock. I'm a member of this co-op. Some co-ops choose to use additional classes of stock as a means to raise capital. And another way of looking at that, they may be called preferred shares. They're going to be different classes of stock. And again, those are spelled out in your articles of incorporation as far as what are the terms of those. Do they have to be purchased by members? Can they be purchased by anyone? How are they redeemed? Do they pay dividends? Are they cumulative or not? So all the characteristics of that class of stock are spelled out in your articles of incorporation. Okay. And let's talk a little more about the statutes regarding securities, because depending on, if you're a stock co-op, depending on what you choose to do, you may be required to make filings with the Division of Securities in Ohio, if you're in another state, whatever their securities office is that oversees the sale of securities. So there are rules you have to follow. There are also exemptions, both in the type of stock and in the transaction in the sale of stock. So it's very state specific. Co-ops, agricultural co-ops in Ohio, their membership stock is exempt from any filings. And membership stock nationwide, if you're in multiple states, there's a Supreme Court case that says that membership stock in a cooperative is exempt. But once you get into preferred stock as a means to raise capital, those are not exempt filings, typically, if it's more than 10 members. So you need to look at some of those things, and the cost to those filings can be significant. So that's when you're thinking of starting up a co-op and startup costs, that's one of the things you need to look at. Okay. Of course, principles for co-op include member ownership and control. So if you have an outside investor, they're going to want a return on their investment, usually, of some type. So when you have that preferred stock class for that investor, you're going to be making some promises. What is the return on investment you're offering? Agricultural cooperatives, in particular, require a limited return on investment. The Capper-Volstead provision for limited antitrust protection is no more than 8% return. That sounds great right now, right? I'm old enough to remember the 1980s when I purchased my house and it was 13% interest rate. So, we don't know what the future brings, but someday that limit may come into play again. Right now, what I'm hearing from my cooperative boards and CEOs is it's so inexpensive to borrow money. It's much easier than selling stock. And many of them have eliminated their preferred stock classes as they go into mergers, because then they don't have to worry about securities filings in a merger if they've redeemed all their preferred stock. So it depends on the time, the economic circumstances that that we're in, which decisions might get made. With an LLC, obviously you can have multiple membership classes that outside investor is going to have a class of membership interests, and there's going to be promises made as to what the return's going to be, and there wouldn't be any limits other than what you can financially manage to do that.